Welcome. Tonight you are here, and that is enough. Wherever you are listening from, let your shoulders drop a little. Let your breath find a slower rhythm. There is no place to be tonight, and nothing more to do. We are simply going to drift very slowly into the quiet inner world of the sleeping brain, where the quietest, most patient kind of work in the universe is done. Welcome to the Circadian Institute. Each night we go somewhere far from the noise of the day, somewhere ancient, somewhere unhurried, somewhere ready to receive a tired mind. Tonight, that place is the world of the sleeping brain, the soft, luminous landscape of neurons, slow waves, and quiet rivers of light that hum gently inside every sleeper, every night all over the world. A subscription is the quiet way to stay with us for tomorrow's journey and the one after. Before we begin, let your body settle. Feel the support beneath you. Feel the surface where your weight already rests. There is nothing you need to do tonight, nothing you need to remember, nothing you need to fix. The night is already moving without you, slowly, quietly, exactly as it should. Let your breath be ordinary, not deeper, not slower, just whatever it already is. Notice the way the air enters on its own, without your help. Notice the way it leaves on its own. The breath has been doing this all day. It does not need your supervision tonight. If your eyes are still open, that is fine. They will close when they are ready. There is no part of tonight that needs to be hurried. Sleep arrives the way evening arrives, gradually, without effort, without permission, without anyone announcing it. The room around you is quieter than it was an hour ago. The world is quieter than it was at noon. Somewhere outside, a few cars are still moving slowly through the dark streets. Somewhere a street lamp is buzzing softly. None of these sounds need your attention. They are part of the soft, comfortable noise of the world preparing to rest. Let your shoulders drop a little, if they have not already. Let your jaw soften. Let your tongue rest where it wants to rest. There is no posture you need to hold. Your body knows how to lie down. It has been doing this every night of your life. Tonight, instead of a place out in the world, we are going to drift into a place that is closer than any beach, any forest, any sea. We are going to drift inward, very slowly, toward the quietest, most patient organ in the human body, the part of you that is doing the most work right now, even in this calm beginning. We are going to drift into the inner sky of the brain at rest, the brain at the threshold of sleep, the brain in its long, slow, beautiful nightly work. There is no other place in the universe quite like it, and tonight you have one of your own. The journey we are about to take is slow on purpose. Nothing will happen quickly. There are no surprises ahead. There is no part of this story that requires you to stay awake. If you fall asleep before we are finished, that is the right ending. We will simply continue the journey without you. So let the room hold you. Let the bed hold you. Let the pillow hold your head. And let the quiet inner sky of your brain begin to open very slowly, the way a dark ocean opens at night when no one is watching. The brain does not turn off when you sleep. This is one of the gentlest, most surprising facts in all of science. For most of human history, people believed the sleeping brain was simply a dimmed brain, a brain set aside until morning. The truth is different. The truth is softer and stranger and more interesting. When you fall asleep tonight, Your brain will become busier in some ways than it was during the day. It will not chase tasks. It will not answer emails. It will not navigate streets or recognize faces in a crowd, but it will work patiently, quietly, in rhythms that the waking mind has never seen. The waking brain is loud. It is filled with the small electrical conversations of millions of neurons, all firing at slightly different times, in slightly different places, for slightly different reasons. This is the chaos of attention, the chaos of choice, the chaos of being a person in a complicated world. The sleeping brain is calmer. Its electrical activity becomes more synchronized. Whole regions of cells that, during the day, fire on their own schedule begin instead to pulse together. Their voices, so to speak, fall into rhythm. The chaos becomes a chorus. If you could see the electrical activity of a sleeping brain, you would not see it dim. You would see it organize. Long, slow oceanic waves of voltage rising and falling across the cortex. Quiet conversations between deep regions and the surface, a hum that sounds in some sense like the brain breathing. Researchers measure these slow rhythms with delicate sensors placed gently on the scalp. The signals they detect are small, only a few millionths of a volt, but those tiny signals carry the whole story of the night. They tell us when sleep begins, how deep it goes, when dreams arrive, when the body shifts, when the brain enters its most restorative state. Every night, in every sleeper on earth, in cities and villages, in tents and apartments, in cradles and old beds, the same slow rhythms unfold. Different bodies, different lives, the same nightly choreography of the brain. The waking brain consumes about a fifth of all the energy your body uses. Even at rest, it costs a great deal to be conscious. The sleeping brain still uses energy, but it uses it differently. Some of the day's bills are paid at night. Some of the day's repairs happen quietly in the dark. This is not a story of shutdown. This is a story of shift. The brain switches modes the way a great house, at the end of the day, lowers its lights and begins its nightly cleaning. The work has changed. The lights are softer, but the building is alive and busy in its own quiet way. Tonight, we will follow this nightly shift, very slowly, from the threshold of sleep into the deepest, slowest waters of the human mind. We will visit the great rhythms. We will visit the dreaming gates. We will visit the soft, cleaning rivers that flow only when you sleep. None of this requires your attention. The brain is already doing it. It does not wait for instructions. It does not need encouragement. It does its nightly work in everyone, every night, whether anyone is curious about it or not. But it is comforting sometimes to know what is happening inside while you rest. The way it is comforting to know that the moon is still up, even when you cannot see it. The way it is comforting to know that the tide is still rising, even when you are far from any sea. So we will look tonight at the quiet sky inside, the brain at rest, the brain at work, the brain unfolding its nightly map across the soft hours, and we will look slowly because the brain itself has slowed down. Inside your skull right now, there are roughly 86 billion neurons. Each of them is connected to hundreds, sometimes thousands of others. The total number of connections in your brain is so large that no one has ever counted them all. Tonight, every one of them will be quietly involved in the work of sleep. This is not something you need to manage. The neurons know what to do. They have been doing this since before you were born. The first slow brain waves of a sleeping baby appear in the womb, weeks before birth. By the time a child is born, their brain has already been sleeping and waking and sleeping again. Sleep is older than language, older than memory, older than the human species, older than mammals. Every animal that has ever been studied closely shows some form of it. Even creatures with very simple nervous systems pause in cycles the way our brains pause. Sleep in some form is one of the oldest rhythms life has. And yet, even after centuries of careful study, even after decades of modern neuroscience, no one fully understands why sleep exists. We know what it does. We know what fails when it is missing. We know that it is essential, that no animal can live without it. But the deepest reason, the original reason, has not yet been named. This is one of the gentlest comforts of science. There is so much we still do not know. There are so many quiet rooms in the great house of knowledge that no one has yet entered. The sleeping brain is one of those rooms. It opens slowly, it speaks softly, and tonight we are going to sit in its doorway. As we move forward through the chapters of this night, you may notice your eyes growing heavier. That is the brain doing exactly what it was designed to do. There is no need to resist it. There is no need to encourage it. There is no part of this story that you have to finish. If you fall asleep, the slow rhythms inside you will continue without our narration. The same rhythms have been carrying every sleeper home for 100,000 generations. They will carry you home too. So we begin, softly, slowly, without urgency, with one breath and then another, and the patient inner sky of your brain just beginning to grow quiet. The brain at rest begins its quiet work. We will visit it now. Sleep does not arrive all at once. It arrives the way evening arrives, in a soft, slow lowering of light. The brain crosses through several different states before it reaches the deep waters of true sleep. The first of these states is sometimes called the doorway. It is short, it is quiet, and it is one of the most peculiar states a brain can be in. When researchers watch a brain enter the doorway of sleep, they see the rhythms shift. The fast, sharp electrical patterns of full wakefulness begin to slow. Smaller waves emerge, gentler, more rounded. The sensors record this change as a quiet drop in voltage frequency. It is in some way the brain breathing out. This first stage of sleep is called Stage 1, or sometimes N1. It usually lasts only a few minutes. In Stage 1, the brain is still very close to waking. A small noise can pull a person back, a flickering light, a passing thought. But each of these little disturbances costs less than it would have a few moments earlier. In Stage 1, the muscles begin to relax. Not all at once, not dramatically, just a soft loosening. Your shoulders, if they have been holding tension, may let go a little. Your hands may uncurl, your jaw may release. None of this is something you decide. It is the brain doing it gently on your behalf. It is in this stage sometimes that people experience hypnic jerks, a small involuntary twitch of a leg or arm, just as you are drifting off. Many people remember the sensation of falling briefly before being caught by their own bed. This is the brain crossing the doorway in slightly imperfect synchrony with the body. It is harmless. It is common. It is in its own small way charming. The hypnagogic state, the state of being in the doorway of sleep, is famous among artists, writers, and scientists for the strange drifting images it sometimes produces. Salvador Dali used to nap in a chair holding a spoon. so that the spoon would clatter to the floor when he relaxed too deeply, waking him just in time to remember the half-formed images of the doorway. Many of the most original ideas in science have arrived to people in this state. Otto Lowy dreamed an experiment that would prove how nerves communicate chemically. Friedrich Kekulé dreamed the ring shape of the benzene molecule after seeing in his mind a snake biting its own tail. The doorway, it turns out, is a creative threshold. Why this happens is still being studied. The current best guess is that, as the brain begins to disengage from the rules of waking thought, it allows associations that the daytime mind would dismiss. Logic loosens, categories soften, things that should not connect suddenly seem to. Some of these connections are nonsense, a few are gold. Most nights we cross the doorway without noticing. The brain moves on quickly to deeper stages. The strange images, if they came at all, are forgotten. By morning, only sleep itself is remembered. During stage 1, your eyes may begin to roll slowly beneath your eyelids. This is a soft, regular movement, much slower than the rapid eye movements of dreaming sleep, which we will visit later. It is one of the small physical signs that the brain has begun its descent. Your heart rate slows, your breathing slows, your body temperature, which has been falling gradually for the last few hours, drops a little further. None of these changes are dramatic. They are small, they are gentle, they are the soft preparation for the deeper stages ahead. The body is also lowering its production of certain chemicals, the chemicals of attention, of vigilance, of waking effort. In their place, melatonin, the soft chemistry of darkness, is rising. It does not put you to sleep, it only tells the body that the time for sleep has arrived. In stage 1, the brain is still capable of perceiving the world around it. Sounds still reach it. Light still reaches it. Touch still reaches it, but the response is dampened. The signals are softer. The world is being kept gently at arm's length. This dampening is a kind of doorman. The doorman stands at the threshold of the doorway, listening. Most things that pass by are not important enough to wake you. A soft creak in the floorboards, a car somewhere blocks away, a neighbor closing a door. The doorman lets these go. Sleep continues. But certain sounds will still wake you. The cry of a child, the voice of someone calling your name, a sudden alarm. The doorman knows which sounds matter. The doorman has been trained, partly by evolution and partly by your own life, to listen for the things that need your attention. This selective attention to important sounds is one of the small miracles of sleep. The brain is not deaf, it is filtering. It has decided for tonight what is worth waking for and what is not. Most things, mercifully, are not. Stage 1 is short. After only a few minutes, the brain moves on. The waves grow longer. The voltage grows steadier. The doorway closes softly behind you, and you enter the next room of the night. This next room is called Stage 2. It is the longest of the rooms. Most of the night will be spent in it or in passing through it. We will visit Stage 2 next, slowly, the way you are now drifting. But before we go on, take a soft, slow note of where your body is. Notice the way your weight rests against whatever is supporting you. Notice the way your breath continues without your help. Notice that somewhere inside, the doorway of sleep may already be opening for you tonight. There is no need to push toward it. There is no need to wait. The doorway opens at its own pace. It has opened for you many thousands of times in your life. It will open tonight too, exactly when it is ready, in exactly the same way. So we leave stage one here, with you still close enough to the surface to hear my voice, and we move slowly forward into the longer, deeper rooms of the night. Stage 2 is the longest hallway in the house of sleep. About half of every night is spent here. If sleep were a long evening walk, Stage 2 would be the long, quiet stretch between the street lamps, the part of the walk where the world has settled, where nothing is changing very fast, where the soft, regular sound of footsteps is enough company. In Stage 2, the brain's electrical waves grow slower and steadier. Two new patterns emerge that are not seen during waking. They are called sleep spindles and K-complexes. Their names are odd, but their work is gentle and important. A sleep spindle is a brief burst of fast brain activity that lasts about a second. It looks on a recording like a small flicker between the long, slow waves. It is called a spindle because of its shape, narrow at the ends, wider in the middle, like a tiny luminous pod. Sleep spindles come and go throughout the night. A typical sleeper has thousands of them. They are produced by a small structure deep in the brain called the thalamus, which acts during sleep as a kind of soft gatekeeper between the senses and the cortex. The work of sleep spindles is still being studied, but recent research suggests they help the brain protect sleep from interruption. When a spindle is happening, it is harder to wake the sleeper. The cortex in some way is busy. Outside signals are being held at a softer level. Sleep spindles also appear to be involved in memory. People who have more spindles tend to remember the next morning what they learned the day before. It seems that the brain, while you sleep, is using these brief bursts to file and strengthen what it learned during the day. The other pattern in Stage 2 is the K-complex. The K-complex is a single, sharp wave, a sudden dip and rise in voltage that is much larger than the surrounding rhythm. K-complexes can happen on their own or in response to a sound or other small disturbance. It is thought that the K-complex is the brain's way of saying, very softly, I noticed that, but it is not important. The pattern resets the surrounding sleep, almost like the way a lullaby starts over after a small interruption. The disturbance is folded back into the calm. Together, sleep spindles and K-complexes give Stage 2 sleep a soft, characteristic rhythm, long, slow waves, punctuated by brief flickering pods of activity, occasionally interrupted by a single, soft, sharp dip. This is the brain at work, holding sleep gently together. In Stage 2, the body continues to relax. Heart rate drops a little further. Breathing slows. Body temperature reaches a soft floor. Most muscles, except for those of the eyes and the diaphragm and a few others, become very quiet. Stage 2 is also when the brain begins what some scientists call its great filing work. The day's experiences, which were stored hastily during waking hours in a temporary form, are being slowly carried into longer-term storage. The brain is choosing what to keep, what to strengthen, and what to let fade. This is one of the deepest reasons we sleep. Without Stage 2 sleep, much of what we learn during the day is fragile. With Stage 2 sleep, those memories are gently anchored. The work is invisible. The work is essential, and it is happening right now inside every sleeping mind on earth. Some sleepers spend more time in Stage 2 than others. Older adults tend to have fewer deep stages and more stage 2. Younger adults may have shorter stage 2 periods between deep dives. But every sleeper visits stage 2 many times a night in cycles like the slow turning of a long, quiet wheel. If you woke up suddenly during stage 2, you might not believe you had been asleep. Many people, when woken from this stage in a sleep laboratory, say with confidence that they were still awake. The brain in stage 2 has not yet drifted far enough to be sure of itself. This is why sometimes you may feel like you have been lying awake for a long time, when in fact you have been gently sleeping. The doorway of sleep is permeable, the first hallway is quiet, the mind has trouble distinguishing between the two. And that is one of the small comforts of this stage. Even when we believe we are not sleeping, we may be. The brain has its own quiet measurement. The body has its own quiet rest. Both of them know what is happening, even if the wakeful sense of self is not yet certain. Stage 2 lasts longer than stage 1, and it is followed gently by a deeper stage. The waves grow longer, the voltage grows larger, the brain begins its great slow descent into the deepest waters of the night. This deeper stage is where the brain, in its most restorative state, begins to do its largest and quietest work. We will visit it next very slowly, the way the brain itself is moving toward it now. So let us drift. Let us follow. The hallway of stage 2 stretches on, softly, ahead of us. Spindles flicker. K-complexes rise and fall. The brain quietly carries us forward into deeper and deeper rest. There is nothing else to do tonight. The brain has decided. The body has agreed. The night has begun. Stage 3 is the deep of the night. It is the slowest, largest, most restorative current in the river of sleep. It is sometimes called slow wave sleep because the electrical waves of the brain in this stage are slow and tall and oceanic. They look on a recording like the long swells of an open sea at dusk. The waves of stage 3 are called delta waves. They are slower than any other rhythm a healthy brain produces. They rise once or twice a second. They sweep across whole regions of the cortex at the same time. The chaos of waking is gone. The quiet of deep sleep is here. In stage 3, you are very far from the surface. A loud noise will have to be very loud to reach you. A soft voice will not be heard. The doorman of sleep has stepped further into the house. The world outside has, for now, become almost nothing. This is the stage in which the body does much of its physical repair. Growth hormone is released. Tissues heal. Bones strengthen. The immune system rebuilds its supplies. The day's small wears and tears, the small bruises and sore places are quietly being attended to by the body's nightly maintenance crew. If a child has been growing during the day, much of the actual growing happens in this stage. Children spend more of their nights in deep sleep than adults do. Their bodies have more building work ahead of them. The brain organizes the night around what the body needs. Athletes, after hard training, tend to spend more time in stage 3. Their bodies request more deep current. The brain provides it. Sleep is not a fixed schedule. It bends gently to what the body has asked for. In stage 3, the heart rate is at its slowest of the night. Blood pressure is at its lowest. Breathing is regular and quiet. The whole body has descended into a peaceful, slow rhythm. If you were to listen to a sleeper in this stage, you might hardly hear them. It is in this stage that sleepwalking, when it happens, tends to happen. A person in stage 3 is so deeply asleep that the brain's monitoring of motion is reduced. Some people in this state may walk through their houses with no memory of it the next day. It is rare. It is harmless in most cases. It is a curiosity of the deepest current. Most sleepers in stage 3 are very still. The body has found its long, quiet posture. The breath has settled. The mind is far inside. There is little memory of what happens here. Even if a dream occurs, it is unlikely to be remembered. And yet, the brain is not idle. It is doing some of its most important work. The slow waves of stage 3 sweep across the cortex like long brushstrokes. They carry in their motion the brain's nightly review of the day's experiences. Patterns that were laid down in temporary memory during waking hours are being slowly transferred to longer storage. This is one of the reasons sleep helps you remember things. The slow waves seem to coordinate a quiet conversation between two important parts of the brain. The hippocampus, which is the brain's short-term archive, gently passes its day's stories to the cortex, the brain's longer-term library. Each slow wave carries a small package of information from one to the other. This conversation is one of the great, quiet processes of the night. Without it, what you learned during the day would be fragile. With it, the lessons of the day are gently woven into the long fabric of who you are. Memory is not the only thing that benefits. The brain also sorts emotions during deep sleep. The day's worries, when revisited in this slow oceanic state, often become quieter. The same problem seen from the calm of stage 3 has a different shape than it did at noon. This is part of why a difficult feeling can lessen overnight, even when nothing about the situation has changed. Stage 3 is also where the brain takes care of itself in a more literal way. We will visit next one of the most beautiful systems anyone has ever discovered, a cleansing river that flows through the brain only when you are deeply asleep. But for now, simply rest in the great slow current. If you have made it to stage 3 in your own night tonight, you will not hear what is being said now. You are far below the surface. That is exactly right. There is no part of this story that requires your attention. If you are still close to the surface, you may still notice the rise and fall of words. That is also right. The brain is doing its own slow descent in its own time. There is no race. There is no schedule. There is only the patient unfolding of the night. The deep currents will hold you when you arrive. They have held every sleeping human who has ever lived. They are older than the human species. They are part of the long inheritance of being a creature that needs sleep, and that has been given the great gift of being able to find it. The deep currents move slowly. They are in no hurry. They have all night. And so do we. We will move on when the brain moves on into the next room of the night. But not yet. The deep currents are still here. The slow waves are still rolling. We are still inside the largest, quietest river the brain ever flows in. So let us stay here, just a little longer. The brain is doing exactly what it should be doing. The body is doing exactly what it should be doing. The night is exactly where it should be. There is a discovery made only in the last 10 years that has quietly changed what we thought we knew about sleep. The discovery is this: the brain has its own cleaning system, and that system is most active when you're asleep. While you rest tonight, soft, slow rivers of fluid will move through the deep tissues of your brain, carrying away the small chemical debris of the day's thinking. This system is called the glymphatic system. The name is a small joke. The body has a network of vessels called the lymphatic system, which carries waste away from the body's organs. The brain, for a long time, was thought to be too special, too protected, to have its own version. But it turns out the brain has something even more elegant, a glia-driven lymphatic-like system, so glymphatic. Inside the brain, between every cell, there is a small space, a soft, narrow gap that is filled with fluid. During the day, this fluid is mostly still. It flows, but slowly and unevenly. Most of the brain's energy and traffic is spent on the daytime work of being conscious. But when you sleep, especially in the deep currents of stage 3, something quiet and beautiful happens. The cells of the brain shrink, very slightly. The spaces between them open, and the fluid begins to flow more freely. It rinses through the deep tissues like a soft tide reaching new corners of a shore. This nightly tide is the glymphatic flow. It is gentle, it is slow, and it carries with it the small pieces of cellular waste that have built up during the day's thinking. Each thought, each memory, each calculation, each conversation costs a small amount in the brain's chemistry. By morning, those small costs need to be carried away. Among the substances that the glymphatic system clears is a protein called amyloid beta. Amyloid beta builds up in the brain when waste removal is slow. Over many years, if it accumulates without being cleared, it can clump together in ways that damage cells. This is one of the changes seen in Alzheimer's disease. Researchers have shown, in careful experiments, that the glymphatic system clears amyloid beta most effectively during sleep. People who sleep deeply, regularly throughout their lives, appear to have a built-in protection against this kind of accumulation. The night is not just rest, it is also very softly repair. This is one of the reasons sleep is so important to long-term brain health. We sometimes treat sleep as a luxury, something to be sacrificed for productivity or pleasure, but the brain itself does not treat it that way. The brain treats sleep as essential maintenance, the kind of maintenance that, if neglected long enough, has consequences. The glymphatic flow is driven, in part, by the slow waves of deep sleep themselves. As the long delta waves move through the cortex, they help to push the cleansing fluid through the spaces between cells. The very same waves that carry memory consolidation also carry cleaning, two great processes woven together. This is one of those rare details that makes sleep feel almost engineered. The same rhythm that helps you remember today is also clearing the chemical residue of yesterday. The work is double, the work is graceful, and it is happening in every sleeping brain right now. The fluid of the glymphatic system is called cerebrospinal fluid. It is produced inside the brain and circulated through the central nervous system. It bathes the brain from the outside in the soft cushion of the meninges, and during sleep it also flows inside through the deep cellular spaces. Most of us are not aware of cerebrospinal fluid in any direct way, but it is one of the quiet companions of every sleep. It is doing its work right now, even as these words pass slowly through your hearing. Researchers continue to learn about the glymphatic system. There are still many things they do not know. They have learned that the position of your body during sleep affects the flow. Sleeping on your side appears to allow the fluid to circulate slightly more efficiently than sleeping on your back. They have learned that exercise and time outside seem to enhance the system's strength. They are still exploring how to support it best. But the most important fact about the glymphatic system is also the simplest. It works best when you sleep well. There is no medicine, no supplement, no shortcut that gives the brain what a long, deep night gives it. The cleaning rivers run because the brain has rested, and they cannot run any other way. This is one of the things that makes sleep feel sacred in a quiet scientific sense, not magical, not mysterious in the old sense, but essential, intricate, and entirely your own. Every night you do something that no machine has yet been built to replicate. Every night you give your brain a kind of attention that nothing else can give. If you have ever wondered whether sleep is doing anything important, if you have ever felt after a long day that lying down feels almost like an indulgence, let this be a gentle answer. Sleep is not idle. The brain is at its most useful when it is at its most still. The cleaning rivers are running, the memory threads are weaving, the body is repairing. And tonight, all of that is being given to you freely by the brain you carry. You do not have to earn it. You do not have to direct it. You only have to let it happen. So we will leave the cleansing rivers here, still flowing, still doing their patient nightly work. We will move on in our journey to the next quiet wonder of the sleeping brain. But the rivers will not stop. They will keep flowing as long as the night holds. They will be there in the morning. They will be there tomorrow night. They have been there every night of your life. Now let us drift onward very slowly toward another room. After about 90 minutes of deep sleep, the brain begins to climb, not back to waking, not all the way to the surface, but to a stage that is unlike any other in the night, a stage that when scientists first observed it, surprised them so much that they thought their instruments must be broken. The brain in this stage looks on a recording almost exactly like a brain that is awake. This stage is called REM sleep. The letters stand for rapid eye movement. They were given the name because during this stage the eyes, even though closed, move quickly and irregularly beneath the eyelids. It is one of the small visible signs of an otherwise deeply hidden state of mind. REM sleep is sometimes called paradoxical sleep because of how strangely the brain behaves in it. The cortex is highly active, the way it is during waking, but the body is almost completely still. Most of the muscles, except for the eyes and the diaphragm and a few small others, are temporarily disabled. The brain dreams, the body cannot move. This temporary paralysis is, in its own quiet way, a gift of evolution. It keeps you from acting out your dreams. The brain is generating vivid imaginary experiences, running, flying, speaking, falling, fighting, embracing, and the body, mercifully, is not invited to join in. You are safe in your bed. You are dreaming, but only in the mind. Most dreams happen in REM sleep. They are vivid, they are emotional, they often have characters and stories. They follow strange logic. The brain in REM is making something, generating its own world, weaving from the threads of the day, the year, the lifetime, of memory and imagination, an experience that no one else will ever fully see. Why do we dream? After all the work of all the scientists who have ever studied this, the honest answer is that we do not entirely know. There are several careful theories. None of them is the only answer. They are likely all partially correct. The brain may be doing many things at once when it dreams. One theory is that dreams help process emotions. Strong feelings from the day, especially worries, fears, and unresolved tensions, are revisited in dreams in symbolic form. The dream is a kind of overnight studio in which the mind tries different framings of the same situation. By morning, the feeling sometimes has a different shape. Another theory is that dreams help with memory consolidation, but in a different way than slow-wave sleep does. While stage 3 strengthens declarative memory, facts and events, REM seems to strengthen procedural and emotional memory. The skills you practice today may be improved overnight by REM sleep. The relationships you reflected on may be deepened. A third theory is that REM sleep is a kind of simulation. The brain practices situations that have not yet happened. Threats, opportunities, social challenges, problems. The dreaming mind tries them out in a safe space. By morning, the mind is, in some small way, more prepared. It may be that all three of these are true. The brain is generous. It does not have to choose only one purpose. The same dream may be processing yesterday's argument, strengthening today's piano practice, and preparing tomorrow's difficult conversation all at once. In REM sleep, the brain regions that handle emotion become particularly active. The amygdala, a small almond-shaped structure deep in the brain that processes fear and intensity, lights up. The hippocampus, the memory archive, also remains engaged, but the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for logic, planning, and self-monitoring, quiets down. This is why dreams are so emotional and so strange. Without the prefrontal cortex monitoring, the dreaming mind accepts impossible things. Time skips, faces shift, locations transform without warning. We do not, in dreams, usually notice. The dream feels normal at the time. It is only on waking that we recognize how peculiar it was. Some people remember many of their dreams. Others remember almost none. This is largely a matter of when you wake. If you wake from REM, you are far more likely to remember a dream. If you wake from a deeper stage, you may have no memory of dreaming at all, even though dreams have happened. The first REM period of the night is short, usually only 10 minutes or so. The brain, after this brief visit, sinks back into deeper sleep, but each subsequent REM period is longer than the last. By the time morning approaches, you may be in REM for 30 minutes at a time. The night in this way ends in a slow tide of dreaming. The morning dreams are often the ones we remember best. They are closest to waking. They are the longest, and they are the dreams in which the mind has had the most time to develop its world. The strange small adventure that you almost remember at breakfast, that was probably a morning dream. Animals dream too. Cats twitch their paws. Dogs make small running motions. Their REM patterns on a recording look like ours. We are not the only species that has access to this strange, productive, slightly impossible state. There is something tender about that. Whatever sleep is doing for us, it is doing for them as well. The brain is one of evolution's most ancient inheritances, and the dreaming brain is part of that inheritance, shared widely across the animal kingdom. In REM sleep, the brain's metabolic activity rises again. The energy cost is high. This is one of the reasons sleep is not just simple rest. The brain is doing something specific, demanding, and biologically important. Even REM sleep, the most active stage, is restorative, but in its own way. If sleep is interrupted often during the night, REM sleep tends to suffer first. The brain prioritizes deep sleep when it is short on time, and REM is sometimes pushed aside. Over many nights of disturbed sleep, the lost REM begins to accumulate. The brain notices it will, when given the chance, take more REM than usual to make up the deficit. This is why, on a particularly restful night after a difficult week, you may have unusually vivid dreams. The brain is catching up. The studio is open later than usual. The night is generous to itself. REM sleep ends gently, and the brain returns to lighter and deeper stages. The cycle repeats throughout the night. About every 90 minutes, you visit REM again. Each visit is a small theater. Each visit is a soft adjustment of the inner world. Tonight, somewhere in your brain, a dream may already be forming, or it may not yet. There is no schedule you need to follow. The dreams will arrive when the brain is ready, and they will fade into the morning when the night is done. Of all the gentle wonders of sleep, perhaps the most quietly miraculous is what happens to memory. The brain at rest is also the brain at work, and one of the things it works on very softly all night long is the question of what to keep. During the day, you experience an enormous amount. Conversations, sensations, decisions, small worries, small pleasures, most of it is forgotten. A surprisingly small fraction of any given day is remembered for more than a week. The brain, in its wisdom, does not try to hold everything. It holds what matters. How does it decide? Much of that decision is made while you sleep. The hippocampus, that small curved structure deep in the brain, is the brain's short-term memory archive. It records what happens during the day in a temporary form, like notes scribbled quickly in a small notebook. By the end of the day, the notebook is full. Tonight, while you sleep, the hippocampus will read its notes back to itself. The slow waves of deep sleep will sweep across the cortex, and during each sweep, small packages of memory will be carried from the temporary archive into longer-term storage in the cortex. The notebook will be quietly emptied. The library will be quietly enlarged. This process is called memory consolidation. It is one of the most important things sleep does for you. Without it, what you learn today would be fragile by tomorrow. With it, what you learn today has a chance to become part of you. Researchers have shown this in many careful experiments. People who learn a new skill, a new vocabulary list, a new musical phrase, perform better the next morning if they slept well. They perform worse if they did not. The improvement is not from practice, it is from sleep alone. Sleep also helps you forget, in a useful way. Not everything from the day deserves to become a long-term memory. Some details are noise, some are unimportant. The brain, in its nightly review, lets these go softly. The forgetting is part of the work. It clears space for what mattered. Different kinds of memory are consolidated by different stages of sleep. Facts and events, declarative memory, are most strengthened by deep, slow-wave sleep. Skills and procedures, how to ride a bicycle, how to type, how to play a song, are most strengthened by REM sleep. Emotional memory uses both, woven together in ways that are still being studied. This is why a single night of poor sleep can affect different parts of your memory in different ways. You may remember the facts you studied but feel less competent at the skill you practiced. You may remember the events of yesterday but feel less emotional clarity about them. The brain has done some of the work, but not all. This is also why several nights of good sleep in a row are more powerful than a single excellent night. Memory consolidation is cumulative. Each night builds quietly on the last. The library grows by small increments, every night for a lifetime. There is a particular kind of memory that sleep seems to help especially. It is sometimes called insight memory, the kind of understanding that arrives after a problem has been worked on but not solved, in the form of a sudden quiet realization. People often experience this after sleep. The problem is the same, but the answer, which was not there yesterday, has somehow appeared. This is sometimes called the sleeping insight. It is most likely produced when the brain, freed from the rules of waking thought, is able to make connections between memories that the daytime mind kept separate. The morning, after a good night, is sometimes a place where new ideas arrive without being asked. Many people, including artists, scientists, and writers, learn to use this. They go to sleep with a problem still open. They do not try to force a solution, they simply leave it where it is by morning. Sometimes, not always, something has shifted. The brain has done some of the work for them. Tonight, if there is a question you have been carrying, a small problem, a small worry, a small decision, you can let it go now. Not throw it away. Just let it sit gently where the brain can find it during the night. By morning it may not be solved, but it may have moved a little. The mind has its own slow currents. They are at work tonight on your behalf. Sleep also affects emotional memory in a particular way. Strong feelings from the day are revisited in dreams in symbolic form. The intensity of the original feeling, when revisited in a dream, is gradually softened. The memory of the event remains. The sharpness of the feeling diminishes. This is part of why, after a difficult day, things can feel a little easier in the morning. The brain has not changed the situation. The brain has not solved the problem, but the brain has helped you carry it. The first sharp edges of the feeling have been softly worn smooth by the night's tides. This work, like all the work of sleep, is gentle. It does not require your participation. It does not need to be encouraged. It will happen tonight whether you understand it or not. The hippocampus will read its notes. The slow waves will sweep through. The memories will be sorted tonight, exactly as they have been sorted in every sleeper for as long as humans have slept. So there's no need to remember anything from this story. There is no need to hold any of it. The brain will keep what matters. The rest will softly drift away. That too is a kind of mercy. And tonight, the small fragments of today, the conversations and the small worries, the small successes and the small fears are being gently sorted by your sleeping brain into what is worth keeping and what can be released. By morning you will be a little different, quietly, softly, the way every morning is. That is the mercy of sleep. Each night you become a slightly more refined version of yourself, not because you tried, because you rested. Let us keep drifting. There is deep inside your brain a tiny clock. It is smaller than a grain of rice. It contains only about 20,000 cells. It sits just above the place where the optic nerves cross, in a region called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, and it keeps time for the rest of you all day, all night, every day of your life. This little structure is the master pacemaker of your circadian rhythm, the daily cycle of waking and sleeping that governs almost every cell in your body. Your body temperature rises and falls on its schedule. Your hormones surge and fall on its schedule. Your alertness peaks and dips on its schedule. The little clock is in charge of all of it. The clock runs on a cycle of about 24 hours, Not exactly. The natural cycle of the human suprachiasmatic nucleus, when isolated from any time cues, is closer to 24 hours and 10 or 15 minutes. Without daily corrections, you would slowly drift later and later. Each day's bedtime would arrive a quarter hour after yesterday's. What keeps the clock in tune with the actual day is light. The cells of the suprachiasmatic nucleus receive signals directly from the eyes, but not from the same cells that handle vision. There is a different kind of cell in the retina, sensitive to overall brightness, that talks directly to the master clock. When morning light reaches your eyes, the clock is gently reset. This is why morning sunlight is so important to good sleep at night. The brighter and earlier the morning light reaches your eyes, the more firmly the clock is anchored to the actual day. By evening, the clock knows what time it is. It begins gently to prepare for sleep. As evening approaches, even before darkness falls, the master clock begins to send signals through the body. One of the most important signals is melatonin, a chemical produced by a small structure called the pineal gland. As the natural light dims, melatonin begins to rise. It does not put you to sleep. It tells your body that the time for sleep is approaching. Melatonin's rise is part of why, on a normal evening, you start to feel a kind of soft heaviness in your eyelids around the same time each night. That feeling is not a sign that something is wrong. It is the master clock doing its quiet work, on schedule exactly as it has every evening of your life. Melatonin is not a sleep medication. It is a timing signal. The brain reads it and uses it as one of the cues that the night has begun. If you take melatonin at an unusual time, you can shift the clock a little. This is sometimes used to help with jet lag, but the body's own production is more elegant than anything that can be taken in a pill. The little clock knows what to do. The master clock also coordinates body temperature. During the day, your core temperature rises slightly, peaking in the early evening. As night approaches, it begins to fall. This drop in temperature is one of the body's quiet ways of preparing for sleep. A cool body is more easily a sleeping body. This is part of why a slightly cool bedroom can be helpful for sleep. The body is already trying to cool down. A cool environment supports the natural drop. A bedroom that is too warm asks the body to fight against its own clock. The clock is not only inside your head. Almost every cell in your body has its own small timekeeper. These cellular clocks all listen to the master clock in the brain and synchronize their work with it. When everything is in tune, your liver, your heart, your immune system, your digestive system all coordinate their activities to a single daily rhythm. When something disrupts the master clock, irregular sleep, frequent travel across time zones, shift work, late night light exposure, the smaller clocks fall out of step. The body becomes, in a quiet sense, slightly disorganized. Symptoms of this disorganization include sleep problems, fatigue, mood difficulties, and digestive trouble. The body, when out of sync with itself, lets you know. The good news is that the master clock is forgiving. Given regular morning light, regular meal times, and regular bedtimes, it tends to fall back into rhythm within a few days. The body wants to be in tune. It will return there when given the chance. Different people have slightly different natural rhythms. Some are early sleepers and early risers, sometimes called larks. Some are late sleepers and late risers, sometimes called owls. Most people are somewhere in between. These differences are partly genetic. They tend to shift across a lifetime. Children are often early. Teenagers are often late. Older adults often shift earlier again. There is no right schedule. There is only the schedule that fits your particular clock. Trying to force yourself onto a schedule that does not match your natural rhythm is one of the most common quiet sources of poor sleep. When the schedule and the clock are aligned, sleep usually comes more easily. The master clock is also affected by something simpler than light or temperature. It is affected by routine. Going to bed and waking up at roughly the same time each day, even on weekends, helps the clock keep its position. This is one of the gentlest things you can do for your sleep. Tonight, if you have arrived at this point in the journey, your master clock has already been doing its preparation for hours. Melatonin has been rising, body temperature has been falling, cortisol, the morning hormone, has been low. The little clock has been telling the body all evening that the time for sleep is here. Tomorrow morning, if light reaches your eyes early, the clock will reset itself again, and the cycle will begin again. The body will rise. Cortisol will surge gently. Melatonin will fall. Body temperature will rise. The day will begin on schedule exactly as the inner clock is arranged. This little clock has been keeping time for you since before you were born. It will keep time for you for as long as you live. It needs almost nothing from you. Light in the morning, routine in the evening, a few simple kindnesses repeated. In exchange, it gives you the gentle rhythm of your days and your nights. Tonight, it is on your side. It has been on your side every night, all your life. Let us keep drifting. All night, while your body lies still, your neurons are talking to each other, not the way they talked during the day, fast, loud, multitasking. They are talking softly now, in rhythms, in coordinated waves, in the special quiet language of the sleeping brain. A neuron is, in some ways, a very small thing. It is a single cell with a body smaller than a grain of pollen. It has a long, thin tail called an axon that can be quite long, and many short branches called dendrites that receive signals from other neurons. A neuron's job is to listen, decide, and pass along. In your brain, there are roughly 86 billion of these. Each one is connected on average to several thousand others. When one neuron decides to send a signal, it sends an electrical pulse down its axon, which arrives at a small junction with the next neuron, a junction called a synapse. At the synapse, chemicals are released and the next neuron decides whether to pass the signal along. All of your thinking, all of your memory, all of your feeling, all of your sensing happens in this network of decisions. The pattern of which neurons fire, when and in what sequence, is the pattern of your experience. And every day that pattern is changing very slightly with everything you do. This is one of the things sleep helps with. During the day, as you learn and remember, the synapses in your brain become slightly stronger, slightly more sensitive. Some of them are reinforced. Some new ones form by the end of the day. The brain is, in a quiet way, more elaborate than it was in the morning. This sounds like a good thing, and it is, but it cannot continue forever. If every day added more synaptic strength, the brain would, after a few weeks, be saturated. Every connection would be at maximum. Every signal would be loud. The brain would become noisy. Learning would become impossible. This is where sleep does some of its quietest, most elegant work. According to a current scientific theory, sleep, especially deep, slow-wave sleep, gently weakens many of the synapses that were strengthened during the day, Not all of them. The most important ones are preserved, but the ones that did not stand out, the ones that were small daily reinforcements, are softly reduced. This theory is sometimes called the synaptic homeostasis hypothesis. The idea is that sleep is the brain's way of returning, each night, to a calmer baseline. The most important learnings of the day stand out from the noise. The smaller details fade. By morning, the brain has room for new learning again. This is, in a way, a kind of mercy. The brain does not have to remember every small thing of every day. It does not have to keep, in vivid detail, every face it saw, every conversation it heard, every item it noticed in the corner of its eye. Each night, the small details fade. The bigger story remains. This is one of the reasons that, when you remember a day, it tends to be remembered as a story rather than as a perfect record. You remember the highlights. You remember the meaningful conversations. You remember the moments that mattered. The small noise has been gently filtered out every night by the sleeping brain. Some neurons in the brain become more active during sleep, not less. There are special groups of cells in the brainstem and the hypothalamus whose specific job is to start sleep and to keep sleep going. They turn on at night. They quiet the cells that during the day kept you alert. They orchestrate the great change. Other neurons become very quiet. The cells that produce the chemistry of waking attention, the locus coeruleus, the tuberomammillary nucleus, the RAF nuclei, these little workshops of arousal go almost silent during sleep. The chemistry of attention is allowed to rest. This is one of the reasons sleep feels different from waking. The brain is not just doing different things. The brain is using a different set of chemicals. The brain at night is, in a sense, a different brain than the brain at noon, the same network, the same cells, but a different conversation. Each individual neuron in your brain has been with you for most of your life. Most of the neurons in your cortex were already in place by the time you were born. They have been with you through everything, through your first words, your first day of school, your first heartbreak, your first deep love. They will be with you tonight and tomorrow night, and every night until you do not need them anymore. They are quiet in their nightly work. They do not ask for thanks. They simply do every night the same patient, quiet labor of being alive. Your synapses tonight will be gently rebalanced. Your most important learnings will be reinforced. Your daily noise will be softly reduced. By morning, you will be in a small way refreshed. The brain is doing all of this for you. You do not have to participate. You do not have to direct. You only have to rest and to let the network do its quiet work. There is something deeply comforting about that. When you let yourself feel it, you do not have to do everything yourself. The body has its own quiet plans. The brain has its own quiet plans. They have been doing this all your life. They will do it again tonight. So let the neurons hum softly. Let the synapses adjust their tiny weights. Let the long, slow waves carry their packages from archive to library. None of it requires you. All of it includes you. Let us keep drifting. The brain is not the only thing that benefits from your sleep tonight. Almost every system in your body uses the night as a time for repair, for rebalancing, and for quiet maintenance. Sleep is in a real sense a whole body event. The orchestra is large. Every section has a part to play. Your heart, while you sleep, slows its pace. Blood pressure drops. The cardiovascular system, which has been working at daytime intensity for many hours, is given a long, quiet rest. Over a lifetime, this nightly rest is one of the things that helps a heart last as long as it does. Your immune system rebuilds its supplies during the night. Specialized immune cells called T cells migrate in greater numbers than during the day to the lymph nodes, where they prepare for whatever might come. Other immune chemicals, cytokines, are produced more abundantly. The night is part of why you are protected from illness during the day. This is part of why people who do not sleep enough get sick more often. The body has not had its time to prepare. The defenses are thinner. A vaccine given to someone who has slept well produces a stronger response than the same vaccine given to someone who has slept poorly. The body in sleep is building tomorrow's protection. Many of the body's hormones operate on a nightly schedule. Growth hormone, which helps with tissue repair, is released most strongly during deep sleep. Testosterone follows a circadian rhythm with peaks during the night. Cortisol, the stress hormone, is at its lowest during the early sleep hours, allowing other repair processes to do their work undisturbed. The skin, which is exposed all day to sunlight and small abrasions, does much of its repair at night. Dead cells are cleared, new cells take their place. Small wounds close more efficiently when sleep is good. There is a reason that many cultures across history have referred to sleep as restorative, not as a poetic exaggeration, but as a literal truth of the body. Your digestive system, too, slows down. The intestines move more slowly during deep sleep. Digestion finishes the day's work, but does not begin much new work. The body is conserving its energy for repair. Even your muscles, which do little in sleep, are nonetheless renewing. Tiny tears in muscle fibers caused by everyday activity or by exercise are repaired during the night. Strength is, in a sense, built during sleep, not during the workout itself. The workout creates the demand, the sleep creates the answer. Your endocrine system, the body's chemical messenger network, coordinates many of these repair processes. The pituitary gland, the adrenal glands, the thyroid, the pancreas all participate in the nightly choreography. None of them takes the night off. Each plays a part in the great quiet performance. Your blood sugar, your blood pressure, your body temperature, your respiration, all adjust to the night's needs. Each system trusts the others. Each system is part of the same body. This trust is not something you have to teach the body. It is built into the body. From the moment you are conceived, your cells know how to coordinate. They have been doing it ever since. When you lie down at night, you are not turning off. You're entering a different state of being, a more cooperative state, a more restorative state. The day was for being a single self, navigating the world. The night is for being a collection of cooperating systems, each doing its share of the great quiet labor. Modern life sometimes encourages us to think of sleep as time wasted. There are products and services designed to reduce the amount of sleep we need, to compress our nights so that more day can fit into a life. The body does not agree with these products. The body, given the chance, will always take its sleep. The body does not consider sleep a luxury. It considers sleep a necessity. If you have ever felt, as many of us have, that there is something almost spiritual about a really deep night of sleep, you're not imagining it. The body has just spent 8 hours in coordinated, quiet work. Every system has been attended to. Every cell has had its share of the night's careful labor. By morning, you're not just rested, you are in a real sense made again. You will be made again tonight. The choreography has already begun. Even now, as these words pass slowly through the room, your heart rate is dropping, your hormones are shifting, your immune cells are migrating, your skin is preparing to repair, your muscles are quietly receiving their nightly attention. None of this needs your help. None of this needs your monitoring. The body has done this every night of your life. It will do it again tonight exactly the way it knows how. All you have to do is rest. That is the simplest invitation. That is the easiest job you have ever been given, and you're doing it well right now simply by being where you are. Let the choreography continue. Let the orchestra play softly. The night is long, and the music has only just begun. Let us keep drifting. After all the science, after all the discoveries of the last 100 years, after all the studies of brain waves and chemicals and rhythms, one of the deepest questions about sleep remains gently unanswered. Why do we sleep at all? Why has every animal that has ever been studied, from fish to flies, from birds to whales, from sea slugs to humans, needed this quiet pause every day? Sleep, from an evolutionary perspective, looks expensive. While you sleep, you're not finding food. You are not reproducing. You are not protecting your young from predators. You are vulnerable. You cannot defend yourself. If sleep were not absolutely essential, evolution would have removed the need for it long ago. Yet here it still is, in every species, every single night. This means sleep must be doing something so important that the cost of being defenseless for hours every day is worth paying. What that thing is exactly has been the great open question of sleep science for as long as there has been sleep science. There are several careful answers, each partially true. Sleep restores the body. Sleep cleans the brain. Sleep consolidates memory. Sleep regulates metabolism. Sleep balances emotion. Sleep tunes the immune system. Each of these is real. Each of these is supported by evidence. None of these alone fully explains why sleep is necessary. It may be, as some scientists now believe, that sleep is doing all of these things at once, and a few more we have not yet discovered. The simplest framing is that sleep is the brain's way of being a brain, just as a heart cannot remain a heart without the regular pause of diastole between beats. A brain cannot remain a brain without the regular pause of sleep between days. Sleep is not a luxury attached to the brain. Sleep is part of how the brain exists at all. Without it, neurons fail, memory fails, mood fails, immunity fails, eventually the body fails. There is no animal that can live without sleep. There is no shortcut. This sometimes causes a kind of quiet wonder. Of all the things life requires, food, water, air, warmth, companionship, only sleep is a kind of voluntary daily disappearance. Every day, every animal that sleeps becomes, for a few hours, almost absent. This absence is the price of being able to come back in the morning fully present. There is something philosophical about that when you let yourself feel it. The waking life depends every single day on a regular practice of letting go. The day's clarity is built on top of the night's surrender. The morning's fresh attention is paid for by the evening's quiet release. This is one of the reasons that many people, when they are very tired, describe sleep almost as a relief. Not just the relief of fatigue, but the relief of being allowed at last to stop holding everything. The day asks a great deal of any conscious being. The night asks for almost nothing. And yet, in modern life, sleep is sometimes the first thing we trade away. We trade it for productivity, for social life, for entertainment, for one more episode, for the small pleasure of being awake when the world is quiet. Each of these trades is individually harmless. Many small trades over many years can add up. Long-term sleep deprivation has been shown to increase the risk of many quiet, slow conditions: cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, certain cancers, depression, cognitive decline in later life. The body, when chronically deprived of sleep, eventually expresses its objection in slow ways. The night, when missed too often, asks for repayment. This is not said to alarm anyone. Most of us, even on imperfect schedules, sleep enough. The body is forgiving. A few short nights here and there are easily made up, but the fact that sleep can be neglected and that the cost is paid quietly is one of the things to know about. Knowing this perhaps makes it a little easier to give sleep its share of the day, to let bedtime arrive without resentment, to welcome the heaviness of evening, to set down for the night what does not have to be carried. The great gift of sleep is that it asks for nothing in return. It does not ask for skill. It does not ask for effort. It does not ask for thought. It asks for permission. And then, when given that permission, it does an extraordinary amount of work for free. Tonight, you are giving permission. The brain is taking the offer. The body is taking the offer. The whole quiet machinery of you is at work, asking for nothing, expecting nothing, simply being itself in the way it knows best. There may not be one single answer to why we sleep. There may be 100 small answers weaving together in ways we have not yet fully understood. That is all right. The sleeping does not require an explanation in order to do its work. It only requires a body, a brain, a quiet place, and the willingness to let go. You have all of those tonight. You always do. So sleep tonight without needing to know why. The night does not need to be understood to be received. The body does not need a reason to do its quiet work. The brain does not need permission beyond the gentle stillness of your weight on the bed. Let it be enough that the night is here, and that you are here, and that the patient inheritance of sleep is once again being given to you freely, exactly as it has been given to every sleeper who came before. Let us keep drifting into the last quiet rooms of the night. Your sleep tonight is one night out of about 30,000 nights, give or take, that you may sleep in a long human life. Each of those nights is a slightly different version of the same nightly choreography. The rhythms shift across decades. The needs change. The brain that sleeps tonight is not the same brain that slept when you were 10 or 20, or that will sleep when you're 80. In the womb, before you were born, you slept. The fetal brain shows REM-like activity for the majority of its time. Researchers think this constant nightly dreaming may be one of the ways the brain prepares itself, building neural circuits, practicing perception. Before there is a world to perceive, by the time you were born, you had already slept thousands of hours. Newborn babies sleep about 16 hours a day, in short cycles, scattered across day and night. They have not yet learned the day-night rhythm. Their master clock has not yet been set by the world's light. For the first few months, sleep is everywhere, in small chunks around feedings, with little regard for clocks. Slowly across the first year, the rhythm forms. Light entering small new eyes begins to set the master clock. Feeding times become more regular. Night becomes longer than day for sleep. By a year of age, most babies sleep most of their hours at night. Childhood is when sleep does some of its most important work. Children spend more time in deep, slow-wave sleep than adults do. The growing brain needs more building. The growing body needs more repair. The lessons of the day are larger in childhood than they will ever be again. The night is, in a sense, working harder. This is part of why children, especially young children, can fall asleep so completely and so deeply. The descent into sleep happens quickly. Once asleep, it can be difficult to wake them. The body and brain are committed to the night's work in a way that adults sometimes envy. In adolescence, something changes. The master clock in teenagers naturally shifts later. Melatonin production begins later in the evening. The desire for sleep arrives on average an hour or two later than it did in childhood, and an hour or two later than it will in adulthood. This is not laziness, it is biology. The teenage brain is in a different time zone than the rest of the household. This shift is one of the reasons that early school start times can be so hard for teenagers. The brain biologically would prefer to sleep until later in the morning. When forced to wake earlier, the teenager loses some of the most valuable REM sleep, which arrives most abundantly in the last hours before natural waking. The cost, repeated daily, is real. In adulthood, the rhythm settles. For most people, sleep stabilizes around 7 to 9 hours a night, with the precise need varying from person to person. A small minority of people genuinely thrive on 5 or 6 hours. A small minority genuinely need 10. Most are somewhere in the middle. Each person's number is in some way their own. Adult sleep, when it is good, looks fairly regular on a recording. Several cycles of about 90 minutes each cycle moving through the lighter and deeper stages with a brief visit to REM toward the end. By morning, the cycles have been completed enough times for the body and brain to be ready for another day. As the years pass, sleep changes again. Older adults often spend less time in deep, slow-wave sleep than they did in younger years. They may wake more often during the night. They may rise earlier in the morning. The total amount of sleep often decreases somewhat, though the need for it does not entirely go away. This is not a failing of the older brain. It is simply a different rhythm. The brain has learned in some sense what it needs from the night. The deep sleep that built the young brain is no longer needed in the same quantities. The maintenance work continues in slightly different proportions on a slightly different schedule. Many older adults sleep in 2 parts. They sleep deeply for several hours, wake briefly, and then return to sleep for a few more. This pattern is, in some traditional cultures, considered normal. The middle of the night in such patterns is sometimes a quiet, awake interval, a time for soft thoughts, for soft prayer, for soft attention. It is not a failure of sleep. It is a different shape of night. Across all of these stages of life, the basic structure of sleep, slow waves and spindles, deep currents and dreaming, the inner clock and the cleaning rivers remains the same. The proportions shift, the total time shifts, but the fundamental shape of the night is recognizable from the first sleeps of life to the last. This is one of the gentlest, most reassuring facts about sleep. Whatever stage of life you are in, the body still knows how to do this. Whatever you have been through, whatever lies ahead, the brain still knows how to enter the slow currents and emerge again in the morning. The technique is yours. The technique stays. There may be nights in any life when sleep is harder. Worry, illness, grief, excitement, new parenthood, new work, old loss. The body is not always able to give itself the night it needs. These are the difficult nights, the ones we remember. They come to almost everyone at some point or another. They pass, the good nights return. And the easier nights, the ones in which sleep arrives without struggle, are common too. Most of the nights of an average life are gentler than the difficult ones. The body, given the opportunity, almost always finds its way back to its rhythm. Tonight is one of those nights. The room is quiet. The body is tired. The brain is ready. Whatever you have been through today, whatever lies ahead tomorrow, this particular night belongs to you, and only this one, and the work of it will be done while you rest. That is enough. The night does not have to be perfect. The brain does not have to be calm. You only have to be willing to let the body do its work, and the brain do its work, and the night do its work. Let it be enough that you are here, and that you're tired, and that the patient choreography of sleep is once again unfolding inside you, exactly the way it has every night since you were born. Let us drift now toward the soft ending of this journey. Across all of human history, in every culture that has ever been studied, sleep has been treated as a kind of teacher. Stories tell us of insights that arrive in dreams. Songs are sung to children at bedtime. Old wisdoms are preserved about the importance of rest, long before science learned to measure brain waves. People notice that the night gives back something the day cannot. There is a quiet wisdom in the way the body knows when to sleep. The yawn that rises unbidden in the late evening, the heaviness of the eyelids, the thought that loses its sharpness as the night deepens. These are not weaknesses, they are signals. They are the body's way of saying it is time now to set the day down. Modern life often resists these signals. There is more light in a modern evening than there was in any evening of the human past. There are more decisions to make, more screens to look at, more reasons to stay awake. The body's ancient wisdom is sometimes overruled by daylight, long after the sun has gone down. This is one of the gentle costs of modern life. The body still knows what it needs. The body still asks. Listening to it, in this age, often takes a small act of will. The decision to dim the lights an hour earlier, the decision to set down the screen, the decision to honor the yawn when it arrives. None of this requires perfection. The body is forgiving. A few late nights here and there are easily made up. Even after long stretches of poor sleep, the body, given the chance, returns to its rhythm with surprising speed. The wisdom of sleep is not punishing, it is patient. Among the things sleep wisdom teaches is the value of the bed itself. The bed is not a place for thinking. It is not a place for arguing. It is not a place for solving problems. The bed is a place for resting and a place for sleeping. When the bed is associated in your mind only with these two activities, the body learns more easily to relax there. Sleep wisdom also teaches the value of darkness. Even small amounts of light at night can affect the master clock and the production of melatonin. A bedroom that is genuinely dark, without small bright LEDs, without screen glow, without streetlight leaking through curtains, is a bedroom that is gently aligned with the brain's expectations. Sleep wisdom teaches the value of routine, going to bed at the same time, waking at the same time, doing the same small things in the hour before sleep. A soft drink, a soft book, a soft conversation. These are not strict requirements. They are gentle invitations. The brain, which loves predictability, accepts them gratefully. Sleep wisdom teaches the value of letting go of waking time worries before bed. Most worries cannot be solved at night. Most decisions cannot be made wisely when the brain is tired. The night is not the time for these things. There is a quiet wisdom in setting them aside, with a soft promise to return to them in the morning. Many traditions across many cultures have developed small evening rituals that help with this letting go. A short journaling practice in which the day is briefly summarized, a short prayer in which gratitude is expressed, a short meditation in which the breath is followed. These are not magical, they are simply ways of telling the mind that the day is for now finished. Some people find help in soft sounds, rain, the slow movement of fans, quiet music without strong rhythm or words. The brain, when given a soft sound to focus on, sometimes releases the louder thoughts more easily. This is not necessary for everyone. For some, silence is best. For others, a soft hum is a gentle companion. Some people find help in temperature, a cool room, a warm blanket, a specific pillow. The body, given the right thermal balance, falls asleep more readily. This too is personal. Each sleeper over time learns what their body prefers. Sleep wisdom teaches that timing matters. Caffeine, even in the early afternoon, can affect sleep many hours later. Heavy meals close to bedtime can disturb the descent. Vigorous exercise within an hour or two of sleep can keep the body alert when it should be settling. None of these are rules, they are simply observations. Sleep wisdom teaches that some things help. Sunlight in the morning, movement during the day, a small meal at consistent times, a few minutes of slow breathing in the early evening. These are not separate disciplines. They are parts of the larger life that supports good sleep. And sleep wisdom teaches that perfect sleep is rare. Most nights are imperfect. Most nights have small interruptions. The bathroom visit, the brief waking, the thought that surfaced and was hard to put back down. None of these is a failure. They are part of normal sleep. The body absorbs them. The night continues. The morning arrives. There is a kind of grace in not insisting on perfect sleep. The pursuit of perfect sleep is, ironically, one of the things that most disturbs sleep. Anxiety about whether one is sleeping enough is itself a thief of rest. Letting go of this anxiety is, in itself, a small night skill. If you cannot sleep tonight, that is also all right. Lying still in a dark room, even without sleep, is a kind of rest. The brain still slows, the heart still calms, the body still receives some of the benefit it would receive from sleep. The night is not entirely lost. Most people, on most nights, will sleep. Not perfectly, not always continuously, but enough. The wisdom of sleep is, finally, the wisdom of letting enough be enough, of trusting the body, of trusting the brain, of trusting the night. These small understandings, the bed, the darkness, the routine, the letting go, are not strict commandments. They are gentle invitations. They are the soft, accumulated wisdom of countless generations of sleepers who learned, slowly, what helps a body sleep well. Tonight, you do not need to remember any of these. You do not need to apply any of them. The night is already underway. The brain is already at work. The body is already at rest. Whatever has gone well today and whatever has not, it is now simply time to be carried. So let the wisdom of sleep, which lives in the body and not in the mind, do its work. Let the small kindnesses you have practiced, even if you did not know they were sleep wisdom, quietly help you. Let the inheritance of countless nights in your own life and in the lives of all who came before hold you tonight. There is one last room ahead of us, the room of Goodnight. We will arrive there gently in a moment. Let us drift on. We have arrived slowly at the soft end of our journey. The brain is quieter now than it was when we began. The body is heavier. The room is the same room, but it feels different, in the way rooms feel different at the deep end of the night than they did at its beginning. If your eyes are still open, allow them to close now. There is nothing left to see that has not already been quietly described. The sleeping brain will continue its work, whether you're paying attention or not. It does not need an audience. It never has. Somewhere inside your skull, right now, the slow waves are gathering. The hippocampus is preparing its conversations with the cortex. The cerebrospinal fluid is beginning to flow more freely through the deep cellular spaces. Every system is in its place. Every system is ready. There is no part of tonight's work that you have to remember. The brain will do its sorting and its cleaning and its reweaving without asking your permission. By morning, you may not remember a single sentence of what was said tonight. That is the right ending. The brain, in its quiet wisdom, often knows what to keep. Let your breath be ordinary again, not deeper, not slower, just whatever it is. Notice that it has been doing its work all evening, without your help, exactly the way the slow waves of the brain have been doing theirs. Let your shoulders be soft. Let your jaw be loose. Let your hands rest where they have already chosen to rest. Let the bed hold you. Let the pillow hold your head. Let the night hold the room. Thank you for staying with us this long. If sleep is closer now than it was when we began, then this night did its work. Subscribing helps us return next week with another slow journey through the inner sky of the brain, recorded with the same patient voice you have been listening to tonight. The brain that has been doing all of this work for you is the same brain that will be with you tomorrow morning. It will return to waking when the master clock signals dawn. It will rebuild itself for another day of conscious thought. It will be a slightly different version of itself than it was last night, refined, refreshed, gently reshaped by the quiet labor of the night. Tomorrow, somewhere in the world, another sleeper will be drifting off, just as you are drifting now. The same slow waves will gather in their cortex. The same cleaning rivers will flow. The same memory threads will be woven. The same patient ancient inheritance of sleep will once again do its work in another body, in another room. And tomorrow night again, and the night after that, the sleeping brain has been doing this for hundreds of thousands of years in human bodies, and for hundreds of millions of years in earlier forms of nervous systems before there were humans. It will keep doing it for as long as life exists. Tonight, you are part of that long inheritance. If your eyes are still open, allow them to close now. There is nothing left to do tonight. There is nothing more to be said. The journey has reached its quiet end. The slow waves are still gathering. The deep currents are still rising. The cleaning rivers are still flowing. The neurons are still humming softly in their nightly conversation. The dreams, if they come, will come without asking permission. The morning, when it comes, will come without an alarm. Let the slow rhythm of your breath continue, in and out. The brain breathes too in cycles much slower than ours, slow waves rising, slow waves falling. The brain has been breathing this way every night of every life that has ever included a brain. Let your eyes be soft, let your mouth be soft, let your tongue rest where it wants, let your hands stay where they have already settled. There is nothing more to adjust, nothing more to fix, nothing more to be done. Sleep is on its way, exactly the way it has always been on its way. If your mind is still busy, let the busyness happen. Thoughts arrive, thoughts leave. None of them is a sign that anything is wrong. The brain at the threshold of sleep is famous for these last drifting passes of thought. They will quiet on their own as the slow waves rise. Tonight, somewhere inside you, the master clock is reading the room. The melatonin is at its quiet evening level. The slow waves of the cortex are gathering. The cleaning rivers are preparing to flow. The neurons are settling into their nightly conversations. Every system has been told that the night is here. There is no other body in the universe that does this exactly the way yours does. There is no other brain that has had your particular life, your particular thoughts, your particular memories to weave into the night. The work that will happen tonight is uniquely yours, and it is at the same time exactly the same nightly work that every sleeper does. That is one of the small graces of being a sleeping creature on a sleeping planet. We are alone in our individual nights, and yet we are doing the same thing as billions of others, somewhere across the world right now. Another person is also drifting off. Another body is also being carried. Another night is also unfolding. Let yourself feel that gently for a moment. The companionship of so many other sleepers doing exactly what you are doing now. None of them needs to know you exist. None of them needs you to know they exist. The companionship is in the simple shared fact of nightly rest. Tonight, the sleeping brain is doing exactly what sleeping brains have done for hundreds of thousands of years. Tonight you are continuing the long, gentle, ordinary, extraordinary inheritance of sleep. Tonight the patient choreography of the night is once again unfolding inside you. It is good to rest. It is good to sleep. It is good to be a creature with a brain that knows how to do this on its own. Sleep deeply now. The night will hold you. The brain will work for you. The body will rebuild itself for you. Tomorrow morning, the sun will reach your eyes again, and the cycle will begin again, and you will wake into a slightly refreshed, slightly refined, slightly different version of yourself. Until then, drift slowly, drift completely, drift into the inner sky of the sleeping brain, where the slow waves are gathering, where the cleaning rivers are flowing, where the dreams are forming, where the memories are being woven, where everything you needed tonight is being given to you freely by the patient ancient gift of sleep. Good night. Let yourself rest now. The slow waves are still passing through sleeping minds. The neurons are still humming softly in their nightly conversation. The quiet rivers of cerebrospinal fluid are still drifting through the deep tissues of the brain, washing the day gently away. The world will keep going with or without your watching. You can let go. Good night from the Circadian Institute.